So I put up my first video about Charlie Kirk's death a couple days ago, and the video had a small focus just on his comments about ethics and veganism, and now I'm thinking that maybe I should have given people a better idea of what he was like, his worst takes on, because I got a lot of criticism, and it's like they don't know the guy, and I'm being just so inappropriate. No, Charlie Kirk was inappropriate. And now I'm going to just briefly show you why, before we get back into his debates with vegans and more on ethics.
You're going to remove my appendix and you're a black lesbian?
The only way you can do veganism is if you have money, you have tons of attention, and you understand the vitamin deficiencies that do exist.
It's a shame to the nation. LeBron James is a self-interested, narcissistic.
I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year.
It's good for human beings to be able to eat animals.
If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Because of DEI.
No. Okay, here's a case where he just could be misinformed, brainwashed by right-wing rhetoric about DEI, but I disagree with affirmative action, which was something that was way back in my day, in the 90s. But notice they don't have that anymore. They now have DEI, and it is different. But the right doesn't care if there's a difference or not. They just want to use this as a political tool. DEI is much better, but people like Charlie Kirk don't care to look into it to see if it's any better.
If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? It almost creates thought patterns that are not necessarily
almost
wholesome.
Missed it. He just said affirmative action. See, that is not used anymore, but they're trying to equate the two together.
It creates resentment, doesn't it, Heather?
Yes, white resentment, which I don't have. Oh, I'm just skimming through here, looking for stuff. He just called someone a selfish sociopath, which are two words I've been using to describe him. The projection never ends with these right-wingers. And guess who he called that to? Simone Biles, a gymnast? Just wow.
You're representing your nation, you please other people.
And look, he wanted to curse or make some kind of racial slur there. Did you see that? He stopped himself.
Simone Biles, you're representing your nation, you selfish sociopath. You kidding me? We are raising a generation.
Lowlife. He's lowlife.
Weak people like Simone Biles.
She had one day where she had some kind of problem, and she ended up coming back. This one day, this thing happened, and he is really quick to go on the attack of a black person.
She's totally a sociopath. Of course she's a sociopath.
Wow.
Andrew says she's not a sociopath. What kind of person
he
skips
can't
the gold
stop
medal?
saying that word. That is projection.
And we know he's not very smart. He cheats on his wife, obviously. He's an NBA player.
Then he got into all the national anthem bullshit. They're not being anti-American. They're making a point that there's something wrong with America. The right does that too. Someone in my comments who is still commenting after 2 days. Yes, I guessed right. This person leans slightly right. Right. Extremists on both sides of the issue. I agree with that. And if you're supporting political assassination, then that by definition makes you a fascist. I agree. This person's insinuating I'm a fascist. Didn't really say I supported, but you can see where I might have given people the impression. So that's why I'm showing you all this stuff right at the beginning here. I'm just saying I'm not sorry, and the world is better off now. Of course, right-wingers may fix that one and make things just worse. I even wonder if Charlie is dead, because they sure are using this really quickly for political points. The extreme right has been celebrating for years that Nancy Pelosi's husband, who has nothing to do with any political stuff, that he was almost killed by one of them. Trump himself is still joking about it. It doesn't get any sicker. And I am reacting. The United States killed Osama bin Laden. Everyone basically celebrated it. No one called the U.S. fascist for doing that. We should not resort to killing. We should find better ways of resolving our political differences. I was yelling at the screen yesterday. It's not about political differences. He's literally hurting people. He's ruining our society. I do not support political assassination. It is Trumpers that support it. And they're the ones that have been flirting with civil war for the last 2 years, talking about it gleefully.
They are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us.
The way the right is attacking the left when we don't even know who did this. They're calling us domestic terrorists.
You don't see leftists doing that. We're trying to prevent this from happening. What can we do? We've ran out of things to do. Nothing we try has stopped their escalation. Nothing works.
I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage. Should black people get reparations?
I believe they should.
So I, white man, have to play for black people. Why?
Wow, that's a really selfish thing you just said.
Hold on. Why should I have empathy for a race? I have white guilt because I breathe? Over 150 years, they didn't have any ability to make better decisions, to save.
That's where I pause right there. I could go on too long here, but this isn't really the video I want to make. Their ancestors started out as slaves. Then they were freed. But they weren't given anything. Just like when poor people have kids, those kids are almost sure to be poor too. And so on and so on. 150 years doesn't matter. Especially when you're in a civilization that's trying to keep you down. And they have done it. And when I say they, I mean people like Charlie Kirk. He denies that racism exists. He's covering up his own racism. He's brainwashing all these young people into being like him, so that one day America will be a purely white nation.
How about you take responsibility for your own actions?
Yeah, see, he's putting black people down. He's saying they're in the position they are not because of Charlie Kirk's ancestors, but because black people are just inherently irresponsible. He's suggesting that black people just made bad decisions once they were freed and were poor.
Instead of blaming the white man, should black people...
White people are to blame.
I got a few messages yesterday complaining that we were playing out clips of what the chap actually said, the self-styled free speech champion. And he said, oh, you're getting a lot of flack on Twitter. And I said, well, what on earth have I done now? And he said, oh, people think that you were wrong to play out clips of Charlie Kirk talking. And what would he want? Or would he want people to essentially censor him? I gave up trying to work out what passes for the logic in the minds of these kind of people a long time ago.
George Zimmerman was hunted at night by Trayvon Martin at 2 a.m. and the stand your ground law allows you to stand your ground up against people that wish you harm.
Here's a video I found on Charlie's YouTube channel. And look at the typical trolling attitude in the title. That's why I think his whole family is better off now. He was sick watching all the news people talking about, oh, so sad. Give me a break. His kids are just like 2 or 3 years old. They probably don't even know him. He's always on the road. It's probably like Trump. Doesn't care about being with his kids.
With the Republican Party that traditionally prides itself on personal responsibility.
Yeah, but they also pride themselves on being selfish. Not just about personal responsibility, it's about basically everything. It's all about the self.
Personal responsibility, protecting the sentient unborn, and free markets. I was curious your thoughts on animal rights, just because the government subsidizes animal agriculture far more than fruits and vegetables and plant foods, which inhibits the free market and ends up slaughtering lots of animals. And
by the way, you might think, well, this video of Charlie's is making veganism look good. Yeah, check out the comments. He just seems really tone deaf, like he just doesn't get it. He doesn't get ethics. Let's read some comments here. This guy wasn't an idiot. He came with a good argument. Yeah, animals are more decent or less rotten than humans. Charlie doesn't have a sound argument and is just using senseless rhetoric. It's like he doesn't care or he's focused on trying to justify his bad habits. Pushing his point. Right. His point is he wants to eat meat. Well, whatever his point is that leads him to be feeling okay with eating meat. Dodged all of the kids' questions. Yeah, that's what you got to do to win a debate if you're in the wrong. This guy is absolutely right. This kid doesn't deserve this disrespectful clickbait title. It reminds me of Piers Morgan bringing a vegan on to debate and then eating a burger while she's talking. Makes himself look really shitty. So he did really badly here with this video. Yet, he's got 4 million subscribers. Isn't that always the way?
Animals are also sentient beings like the unborn. So I was curious your thoughts on all of that.
Yeah, so the question is first, is an animal a human? There is a push, though, to say that we should no longer eat meat because it's bad for the life of animals. We should do what's best for human beings, first and foremost, and it's good for human beings to eat meat. It's good for human beings to be able to eat animals. It's good for human beings to not just eat like this synthetic fake meat that Bill Gates wants to make all day long. And so, yeah.
And then he was shot. No, just kidding. This was 9 months earlier. We can be pretty sure he wasn't killed for his views on veganism. He's anti-abortion, so this hurts a lot of women.
We do what's best for human beings, first and foremost, and it's good for human beings to eat meat.
No, it's actually bad. It's one of the reasons America is in a health crisis. Meanwhile, you got your healthy fruits and vegetables, which he's ignoring, and the government doesn't subsidize. It subsidizes meat. Get the price down low enough for people to afford it, because it's so inherently expensive to produce meat. We all pay for it with our taxes. People like Charlie Kirk are against taxes.
When there's an environmental question, the question should first be what is best for the human species, not what's best for, the trees.
Oh, man. There are some people like this. They're so ignorant. They don't realize the whole reason we should care about the environment is because it affects us. Does he not get that? He is only 31 and has spent, his whole 13 years as an adult learning right-wing bullshit and chasing women. So yeah, he's probably an ignoramus. I was just watching a vegan video and I got some news I never heard, that he's paid to push meat. 30-second ads. So I went looking for this to see if it's true. I found a meat ad on Facebook. Stop buying foreign imported meat. Author Charlie Kirk. And now I shall bring it to you.
Have you been to the grocery store lately? Prices are starting to look like Biden imposed sanctions on us and not on Russia. If your budget is feeling stretched, then save some money by changing the way you buy meat. Instead of spending 20 to 30% more on meat at the store, you can subscribe to Good Ranchers and lock in the price for life of your subscription. They deliver 100% American meat sourced locally to your door. It's safe, convenient, and easy to manage. Visit goodranchers.com/Charlie or use code Charlie when you subscribe today to get an extra $30 off your order. You never know what prices will be tomorrow, so lock in your price today with Good Ranchers, American meat delivered.
Promo code Charlie.
We have the ability to make sense of the natural world. Dogs do not, right? Dogs only have senses. They do not have reason. And so, for example, a dog
See, it's this old thinking. Old selfish thinking. It's elitist. It is prejudiced. It sounds a lot like racism, doesn't it?
We as human beings can make sense of the natural world. We are the speaking beings, to say differently. But no animal should be mistreated. But
and I mean, the reason I'm bringing this up ultimately is these animals that we kill on factory farms. We kill them.
Are abused. I made a video like 8 years ago saying vegans' worst argument is the killing part. We should be focused on the abuse. And you can see it here, and I've come across so many examples of why the killing argument doesn't get very far.
We ground up male chicks alive for the egg industry because only the female hens lay eggs. All these different things is because we view animals on not having enough rights to actually protect their livelihood. Is the government is spending billions of dollars.
Yeah, I think factory farming has a lot of problems, more because of the health of the human that eats the meat, less than about the animal, because it's just not as good for the human. So thank you.
There you go again, all about the self. Right, this is why yesterday we saw a whole bunch of conservatives suddenly upset about political violence because it happened to one of their own people. They weren't upset about the kids who were shot yesterday or the day before. They were only upset about this school shooting where Charlie Kirk was. It's all selfishness. If you're selfish, you gravitate towards the Republican Party. You end up being a conservative. Speaking of selfish, here's one of the many right-wingers we saw commenting yesterday about all the political violence, oh my God, and then listing off a few of the cases, and they mostly mention the cases where right-wingers were the victims. It's not much, it's like 3 or 4, and of course Trump spoke about it, and he went off and listed the 4 cases, and him himself. Oh, but it turned out later, after all the propaganda attacks on the Democrats, it turned out that the Trump shooter was one of his own people who turned on him. Yeah, a lot of people turning on him. Did not mention January 6th at all. As a matter of fact, he left those people out.
Also must be very clear, veganism is very expensive. The only way you can do veganism is if you have money, you have tons of attention, and you understand the vitamin deficiencies that do exist.
This is just false. Charlie is repeating his claim from his previous debate that he lost with the vegan that, being vegan is expensive. A vegan diet can be cheaper or just as expensive as a non-vegan diet. It just depends how you formulate the diet. I personally save money as a vegan. I think we should actually be considering when deciding whether or not it's ethical to mass kill by the trillions a group of beings for cheeseburgers, not whether or not they're human.
So Charlie Kirk is not only a racial bigot, he's a species bigot. This is unevolved thinking. This should have died out in the human race when civilization started thousands of years ago. And people preaching this bigotry should not be in our civilization. People have noted that he was shot while debating the issue of gun rights and gun control.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational.
It's a straw man argument, meaning it's not one or the other. The left is not wanting to take away guns and make this a gun-free nation. This is just a lie that the Republican Party has been pulling on the Democrats for decades. Remember all the people saying, Obama's going to take away your guns. He didn't even try. He had 8 years. This is just what they do to scare Americans. The left and even the center. 80% of Americans want stricter gun regulation, like we had in the 90s and 80s, where we didn't have so many shootings, didn't have these high-powered rifles that can kill more people per minute, but we still had guns. And no one was complaining back then. It's just today, Republicans are getting money from the National Rifle Association. Notice all Charlie's arguments are fallacious. Not just a bad opinion, but just flat out faulty, disingenuous, bad faith. Now let's take a look at Alex Jones' reaction to the shooting. My audience will know him. I've been covering him for like 8 years. He's another anti-vegan. And at this point, he is a convicted con artist, liar.
The left has been saying put a bullseye on Trump, a bullseye on his supporters.
Charlie Kirk's a casualty of war. We're in this country.
I believe the Trump regime is wanting to do to advance this fascist reign. And when authoritarians get power, everything in them is to cling on to it and to make us fight each other here and use horrific, violent language after a violent attack, murder, cold-blooded murder on Charlie Kirk is beyond the pale. And they create these imaginary things and then they fight these imaginary wars.
The worst people are the enemies from within. The sleazebags, like Shifty Adam Schiff. He's a sleazebag.
They want to do things like no more cows and no windows in buildings.
I put up with this crap for a long time. I indulge your little fantasy. It's like when your teenage girl becomes a vegetarian, and you're like, okay, that's, okay, it's fine. No, I totally understand. You're like, it's a phase. But if that phase goes on for 9 years and includes destroying your major cities, you can look them straight in the face and say, I'm sorry, Dad's home, and he's pissed.
The cows are going to disappear. No more cows. No more anything.
We're not going to let Joe Biden and Kamala Harris cut America's meat.
People from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military, because they can't let that happen.
Donald Trump says that the biggest danger to America is Californians.
Here I am in California, doing that typical California thing, buying fruit in the warm sun.
It's so nasty. They're so nasty.
But when you compare a picture of me with Trump, is it really that clear who the monster is?
I do remember the day that he suggested that we shoot people on the streets.
A second term would be worse. There will be no one to stop his worst instincts.